This Good Morning Northwest morning sprint is brought to you by Bill's Heating and Air Conditioning.
It is 6:53, time to get you ready to take on your Monday in the morning sprint. Mark Peterson has a mild forecast to kick off June. Olivia Roberts has details on violent protests erupting across the country. But first, to Destiny Richards following last night's demonstrations right here in Spokane.
Yes, as a lot of people know by now, that peaceful protest ended in a lot of destruction downtown in Spokane. We've got a lot of cleanup going on this morning as businesses get back to work. Volunteers are coming out and the city is doing its own cleanup. There are several places closed. All buildings on the Spokane County campus will be closed today. That includes the courthouse. Commissioners say they want to protect employees and public property. Obviously, the Nike store is closed, Apple store is closed, a lot of different local businesses. We don't know exactly how many, but we're working to find that out this morning.
Breaking developments overnight, Governor Inslee ordered a statewide activation of the National Guard. This comes in response to requests from local governments. The governor had already authorized 600 Guard members earlier to help Seattle and Bellevue. Spokane made a request last night. The governor says any Guard members deployed will be unarmed. The violence last night should not overshadow what the original protest was all about. Hundreds gathered to demand justice in honor of George Floyd, the black man who died when a white police officer kneeled on his neck in Minnesota last week, killing him. For much of the day, this was a peaceful protest here in Spokane. Demonstrators met at the Big Red Wagon at Riverfront Park, marching in solidarity to the courthouse. Many protesters demonstrating by lying on the ground and chanting, "I can't breathe."
A call for justice heard around the nation overnight. Anger erupting in violence and vandalism in more than 100 cities. This morning, the country is picking up the pieces. In Boston, 7 police officers hospitalized as 40 people were arrested. And in Minnesota, St. Paul's mayor is condemning the violence, saying he wants to keep the focus on George Floyd. The officer charged with his murder, Derek Chauvin, has been moved to state prison. Some inspiring scenes across the country, too, like this moment of solidarity. Members of the NYPD kneeling with demonstrators in New York. In this peaceful march on the Manhattan Bridge, protesters holding signs and chanting through the city. A much different scene at the nation's capital last night. Protesters there setting a large fire just blocks from the White House and shouting, "You are a threat," to police in riot gear. More than 40 cities across the country have enacted curfews. About 5,000 National Guard members were activated in 15 states.
Coming up next on Good Morning America, the latest on the investigation into the death of George Floyd. This morning, we are learning new details about the former Minneapolis officer now facing third-degree murder charges. And it was a big weekend for space exploration. The first American astronauts to lift off from U.S. soil in nearly a decade have made it to the International Space Station.
And watch that for hours. In your first alert weather, we are going to see some shower activity. We see that right now right along the Idaho-Washington line, and that's going to continue to make its way out of the region. For Spokane, Liberty Lake, Coeur d'Alene, yeah, clearing this afternoon. Really going to be quite nice with temperatures into the upper 60s.
Now to an update on the coronavirus still spreading around the country. The virus has killed more than 104,000 people in the U.S. Around the globe, 6 million people have contracted COVID-19. At least 369,000 have died. Closer to home, 8 more people have tested positive for the virus in Spokane County on Sunday. That brings the total here to 596. 32 people have died. Health officials say we are seeing this rise in cases because of that recent outbreak at the pasta company in Spokane and because more tests are being done overall. Today marks a major step in the path forward for Washington. Every county in the state can apply to move to the next phase of Governor Inslee's Safe Start plan. Last week, Governor Inslee said he would not extend the stay-at-home order, which expired last night. If a county applies for the next phase, the state will look at a number of factors for approval. Those include testing data, hospital capacity, and the number of outbreaks. Including Spokane. In addition to the campgrounds, other facilities will open like cabins and yurts. However, group campgrounds will remain closed. Some openings in our neck of the woods include a Riverside State Park and Mount Spokane. Campers are encouraged to make a reservation ahead of time. And a heads up, you'll need to plug the parking meters today. Again, the city of Spokane temporarily suspended paid curbside parking because of the pandemic. No longer the case now. If you don't pay, you'll get a courtesy notice until the end of the month. Parking enforcement resumes today.